Alright guys, so I'm going to show you what I use to customize my picks and basically make the most badass picks around. Make the picks work a lot better, make them grip a lot more. It just works better. So me personally, I like, quite a bit of a sharp tip on mine. So what I do, take off the bulk. I get what is this, like 200 grit or something like that. I don't know. It's like a medium grit, and you just basically curve it like that to make a sharp tip. Then what you do, you take this and you want to kind of bevel the edges so you're not having a rough edge that kind of scratches against the strings. So it's almost like you pre-break in your pick before you even start playing with it. You know how when you first start playing with like a Tortex pick or something, there's kind of a scratchiness, but that goes away after a minute? Well, this is set up straight off the bat. So you do that, you sort of bevel the edges off, round the edges off like that, and then you use this to kind of finish it off, to smooth it out. And that kind of rounds it out more too, because when you press down into it, it sort of wraps around the edge of the pick and gives you a more round edge. And see, you get a really nice, fine, sharp tip to it. Now, to score the picks, this is the real part where everyone's always asking what I do. Now, this is sort of what you would typically use. This and, an all sort of deal, things that you use to start drilling holes with or mark your holes with. They have really sharp tip to them. But if you can find a knife like this where it has a super fine sharp tip like this, you can see mine's all like worn and scratched up. This knife is like, it's the cheapest pile of shit on the planet, but man, does it score picks right. So how you do this, you get it like this at sort of an angle. You grab it like this, and I grab the blade like this. I know it doesn't seem like it's, very safe, but it it works. So I somewhat hold the blade sideways because I want this to really dig in and turn the edges up when I do this. So I dig down deep and I go over each line, a few times until it's nice and deep and the edges are turned up. Okay, and you always want to do them diagonal like this way, and then you flip it and you basically do the same. And what you have is a nice, you can see the edges all turned up like that. You see how it's all kind of, looks all fucked up looking? You grab onto that, that is the best grip on the face of the planet. You're not going to get any better grip than that. Period. End of story. There is no better grip than this. Now, this doesn't work with all kinds of picks, pick materials. Obviously, it works well with Tortex, nylon, any sort of softer material picks. The picks that doesn't work as well on, but still works, are like celluloid and Ultex, things that are super hard like that. the edges don't really turn up. So what you got to do with those kind of picks is just basically really dig deep down to get inward grooves instead of, because what I'm doing here isn't like downward grip. It's actually, when I'm pressing down and scraping like that, it's actually pulling the sides up. So I have outward grip into my fingers. On celluloid picks and Ultex picks, you basically do it and make it inward, you know, type of grip. But it's not as good, but it does work, and it works a lot better than just holding, you know, one of those kinds of picks on their own. With an Ultex pick, what works a little better is, you know, use like a razor. And with Ultex picks, because they're so, the material is so hard, if you try to score the picks with something like this, trying to turn up the edges, all it really does is just kind of fuck up the pick, and everything that gets turned up kind of powders away. So what you need to do is like take like a razor blade like this and just dig it hard into it and scrape across, but always make sure that you're going, you know, diagonal like this and then diagonal like that. Okay, see? Because you don't want your grip to be, you know, straight across and straight up and down, because that's kind of where your fingers naturally are going to want to slide, either off to the side or off the front, you know, this way. So you want to kind of get a grip that's going to, I mean, you're not going to move that from your fingers. It's there. There's no grip on this side, but, you know, give it a try. Remember, the really important part is, if you're going to shape the picks like I do, you got to remember to bevel the edges. And what you do, you just basically grab it in your hand and you just get it along the edge and just kind of smooth it out, so it's not, you know, a hard, rough, sharp edge to it. And then when you pick, it'll kind of wear in more, and, you know, you'll notice your picks will last a lot longer too, because you already start with a sharper tip. You know, you're not starting with such a rounded tip. Although this pick isn't a very awesome pick to demonstrate this with, because the tip is already kind of sharp to begin with. You know, standard Tortex picks, they have that rounded, somewhat rounded tip to them. And sharpening those, the way the picks are shaped, it's just awesome. When you sharpen them like this, it kind of just glides off the string a lot better. It just, I don't know. Especially with the beveling, when you do the beveling on top of it, there's something about it. You won't want to play with a regular pick again. You'll get a regular pick and it's like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't come off the string right. You know, it doesn't have the right kind of grip on it. This is like where it's at for grip. So, like I said, either find an awl, you know, something like this, where you can really dig deep down, or if you have a knife with a nice sharp tip like this, don't just, you know, do it straight like this, as if you were cutting with the blade. Like, use it sort of backwards and sideways like that, so you can turn up the edge hard, and you'll get a really badass grip. So, yeah, that's pretty much this video. I just wanted to make this for a few people that were interested in how I make my picks a lot better. So, keep tuned.